My name's Jo-Anne Sieppert, and I'm the author of a book called Distracting the Distractions, Raising a Child with ADD, A Parent's Decision to Medicate. I'm also the author of a youth fiction series called Night Stars. I am 31 years old. I was diagnosed with ADD myself when I was 22, and I have two sons. My oldest son has no signs of ADD, but my youngest son was diagnosed when he was 5 years old, and we started medicating him when he was 5, basically for school. I've also volunteer with and work closely with CHAD Calgary, which is the Canadian Attention Deficit Disorder group, and that's the Calgary chapter. Here in Canada, ADD, it's the same as in Australia. ADD or ADHD is not recognized as a learning disability, so there's very little funding for ADHD, and the kids in the school system here, they can be coded, but which means they adjust the school adjusts to their learning style. However, it's a very general code, the code for ADHD, and it doesn't really necessarily make much of a difference for their learning experience in the classroom. Here in Canada, ADHD has a very bad rap. I think it's pretty much the same everywhere. The thought of a parent giving a child medication to control their behavior it's not perceived very well. However, I try to explain with parents that I talk to regarding their child with ADHD is that you're not giving them that medication to control their behavior. You're helping them to be able to focus better and to be able to adapt socially in situations and to help their education. ADD medication has been around since 1937, and it's actually a very safe, the medications are very safe. No one's ever died from taking Ritalin or any ADHD medication. It's safer to give your child medication for ADHD than it is to give your child aspirin. So I think there's just a lot of misconceptions especially regarding the medication. Also, the fact other people seem to think that a child with ADHD is just an undisciplined child, when in fact the child that's misbehaving in the classroom typically is not the child with ADHD. Having ADHD doesn't make a child misbehave, doesn't make them a naughty child. It makes them an unfocused child. So there's a lot of misconceptions and a lot of ignorance, so to speak, around ADHD and what exactly it is and how exactly it affects the kids. There isn't very much help in the school system for children with ADHD. Like I said, they can be coded, but it is very, very general coding. It doesn't give them the specific needs required. Basically, it just seems to alert teachers that they do have this situation, which can make things worse, to be honest. I find there's a lot of uneducated teachers regarding ADHD and principals and people working within the school system. I think there needs to be more education on the topic and to educate other children in the school, because I do find that if a child has diabetes, they discuss with all the kids what diabetes is and inform the kids as much as possible. Yet when a child has ADHD, there's no information being passed to the other kids, and it would need to be done at a very early age. Typically kids are diagnosed with ADHD, or at least are on the path to a diagnosis between kindergarten and grade 3. And those are the kids that it needs to be explained to at that early of a level, because as they get older, their empathy is not there in older kids. So I think the more teachers were educated, the more parents were educated, and other children within the school system are educated about what ADHD is, the easier it would be for children with ADHD to adapt and to fit in the schools. I think one of the worst discriminations against people with ADHD, I don't think it's generally specific to Canada, but I think they're discriminated against as, especially in kids, they're thought of as the bad kid, it's the misbehaving kid, and which is typically not true. And there's so many positive sides to having ADHD, so many creative and just really genuinely great aspects of ADHD that is very much overlooked. And I think that they are put into this class as a misbehaving child, or a child that doesn't want to listen or doesn't want to learn. And there's a lot of discrimination within the school system itself, with the teachers and the principal and the support staff. I find more so on a social level than an actual academics level. So my book, Distracting the Distractions, is about a little bit about my own experience with having ADHD and not being diagnosed till I was 22. So about my time in school and how difficult it was, and how much, when I was diagnosed, shed the light on what my difficulties were in school. Instead of me feeling that I was just stupid or lazy, it let me look at it in a whole nother light and to reevaluate my life. Then the majority of the book explains my decisions when it came to medicating my son, his diagnosis, and really it puts it in ADHD in a perspective that parents can understand, because it's really hard to understand what exactly ADHD is for someone that doesn't have it. And this takes away all the medical jargon, and it's in a way that makes it just really simple and really easy for people to understand exactly what it is. It also explains my experiences with trying other methods of managing my son's ADHD, such as diet and herbal methods and stuff like that. And if anyone was looking to pick up a copy, you can purchase it on the website at distractingthedistractions.com.